Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. It's another nighttime video. I'm a little washed out. You're seeing reflection from the lights, but we'll get through it. And the babies, as you can see, are snuggled on their bed together, so they're having a good time. Wow, how did I miss this? How did I miss this? Windows Admin Center. Have you seen this thing? You're about to. I stumbled upon this while I was watching the Microsoft Ignite series of videos. I'm trying to keep up on what Microsoft's doing in the industry, and I came across this software, and I just had to show it to you, and it's a pretty cool deal. So I'm not going to babble on anymore. I'm going to let you see the video, and you judge for yourself. Alright, so I have downloaded Windows Admin Center 1809, and I'm going to install this on my most powerful Dell server that I have, and as you can see, that is the unit with the dual X5670 processors. Currently this is a member of the domain. It's hosting most of my Hyper-V machines for production, for running the business. So as you can see here, I've got a bunch of virtual machines running in the background, and right here I have the Windows Admin Center. So basically you just double click on it and click on run. You can download this. I'll have the download link in the notes, and you can run it on any Windows server that you want to. You could probably run this on your I don't know if you can run this on your Windows 10 machine or not. I wouldn't see why not, but I prefer to have it running on a server. This is my main server for production, so I'm going to go ahead and load it on here. Accept the license terms. I'm going to go ahead and use Microsoft Update when it checks for updates. And I'm going to allow Windows Admin Center to modify this machine's trusted hosts. And I'm going to generate a self-signed SSL that will expire in 60 days. And I'm going to redirect HTTP automatically to HTTPS. Go ahead and install this. And all told, I'm going to tell you yes. All told, it takes, I think, about 5 minutes to install is what I timed it before. So we'll go ahead and let this install. We'll come back when something changes. Alright, so it took about 3 to 5 minutes to install, and it tells you it's ready to connect. So it's going to give you the local, or I'm sorry, the name of the local machine it's installed on, which in our case is mcs-del-lab.mcs.local and port 443. But if we go to any browser, now they recommend, of course, Edge browser, which is probably what I'll configure this in just for ease of use. We'll try it in there, and if it gives me a problem, we'll try Google Chrome, but we'll just go to the mcs-del-lab, and it should automatically change that to the secure site. So I'm going to go ahead and click on finish. I should not need to reboot this machine, and as you can see, it's not telling us we need to reboot. So let's go out and open this website in a browser and see what we can see. Alright, so I've entered that I've entered that fully qualified domain name in here, and you see we're getting a certificate error. So we just go to details and then tell it to go on to the web page. So this is the little interface you'll get on the Windows Admin Center. We'll go ahead and you can click through, and it'll give you a tour of the features. Click on finish. Now we've already got Dell Lab Local 1 in there, and I'm currently managing as Jay Straley. So I could highlight this, and I want to manage as a different user. I want to manage as Adama, so I'm going to enter mcs/Adama as our username, and then enter my super secret password until it uses these credentials for all connections, and hopefully that will work. So if I click on the device now, which is the Dell, it should connect, and you'll see this interface is really nice, and I can do it for all the servers in my network or on my subnets, etc. It's a free program. It runs on Windows Server 2012, it runs on Windows Server 2016, and it runs on Windows Server 2019. And it's a way, consider it something very similar to tools you might use from Starwind Software or maybe GFI, that goes out and scans your Windows PCs. And it actually allows you to do a whole lot of stuff. You can do backups, you can manage your certificates, devices, events, files, firewall, your installed apps. You can do updates through here. You can access PowerShell. You can access registry settings, remote desktop. You can add and remove roles and features and go out and play with modify your services and your storages and your VMs and your virtual switches. Microsoft has finally listened to the end users and said, hey, we would like an all-in-one interface to control our servers and our workstations on our network. And this gives you the ability to do it. It's similar to what they use in Azure, their cloud software, to manage their servers. So it's a free utility you can download from Microsoft, and I highly recommend it if you're going to have Windows servers in your lab environment. So let's just go over the pane here. It gives us our computer name, tells us how much total disk space free we have, whether Windows Defender is on, how many NIC cards, our CPUs that are in the unit, the domain name, what operating system it's running, what version, how much memory, processors, the manufacturer of the PC, and the model. Gives you an idea of how much memory is in use, CPU utilizations, and of course your Ethernet adapters down here as well. Now you can also enable what are called disk metrics, but it warns you when you do that it can have a significant performance impact, so I'm not going to enable that. I'm going to tell it no. But there is the dashboard at a glance. Now I'm going to come back up here to the main menu, as I call it, and I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my servers. So I'm going to click on add, and then I'm going to add a server connection, and all you have to do is type in the name. So we're going to go MCS-Dell-Lab2, and you'll see a little spinning circle here as it tries to find that machine. And it found it. I'm going to go ahead and submit, and that's all there is to it. It should add it right to your screen. Let's go ahead and do that with the IBM as well. So I'm going to add another server connection, and I'm going to go MCS-IBM-Lab. I have not tried using the IP address. I think you need to use the fully qualified domain name in there, or at least the server name part of the fully qualified domain name. Go ahead and submit. And now, so it's added my two other servers. I'm going to go ahead and click on MCS Dell Lab 2, and you'll see it goes out and it starts finding out the information on this Dell server, and this is the one with the 5640 CPUs. Now you notice something here though. It's running Windows Server 2019. Yes, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I have my Windows Server 2019 licenses, and I am going to be doing upgrades to all of my servers to Server 2019. So let's go back to the admin center. Let's see if we can connect to the IBM. The IBM is the least powerful of the three servers I have, but as you can see, it's got E5620s at 2.4 gig. It's got 48 gig RAM, 16 logical processors. You can see my memory utilization, etc. Now, in addition to this, I can go ahead and let's try to add my domain controller. So we'll add a server connection. Even though the domain controller is virtualized, we'll try to add a MCSDC01. It found it. Let's go ahead and submit, and let's see if we can click onto it and if it gets the information, and see if it's smart enough to know that it is a virtual machine. And it is. It knows it's a virtual machine. It's running Windows Server 2016 Standard in a virtual machine with 2 logical processors and 2 gig RAM. That was easy. Some would say it's too easy. Now you will notice I'm trying to add a Windows PC connection right here, and it's telling me a computer with that name was not automatically discovered. If you run into that problem, there is an article on this. You need to enable remote management on your remote PCs. And let me bring up the article on that just to show you So here's what you need to do. You need to go out to a PowerShell as administrator, and you need to enable PS remoting. Right here's the command line that you want to run from an elevated PowerShell prompt. Once you run that on your remote machines, then you will be able to add them to the Windows Manager, Windows Admin Center without an issue. And you don't need to reboot the PC, but just be aware, if you run into a problem adding PCs to your list, just go out to the PC you're having trouble with, enable that command out of a PowerShell script, running out of a PowerShell prompt as an administrator, and that should clear that problem up. And as you can see, it has, I'm going to cancel on that, I have been able to add my MCS001, and it is of course gathering statistics on it. You'll also see that I'm, well, you may not see, but I'm up to version 1809 on my Windows 10 now. I don't know why it doesn't show that in here. I am running Windows 10 Enterprise, but it's showing 17763, but I do assure you I'm running 1809. So it's a very simple interface. It's easy to add machines. It gives you a plethora of information on the machine. So for example, I'm used to using Landsweeper. I will continue to use Landsweeper on my networks to gather information, but this is a nice way to gather all the Windows information in one place. Now, one thing I will show you is, for example, if we connect up to a server, you notice we have this option down here on the left to do updates, but you'll find that if you connect to a Windows machine, you don't have that option to do updates over here on the left. So I don't know if that's something Microsoft is planning for the future, or that is just not supported in this Windows Admin Center. Now, strangely enough, and we'll cover this when I start talking about Windows Server 2019, you have to manually install this program. So I picked the Dell that is up all the time, which is the Dell Lab machine that replaced production, and it is up and running all the time. So because I want this program out there, collecting statistics. All right, so now I'm over on the IBM. That's what I love about it. It's one of the things I like about this display. It even shows you what machine you're on and the model number. This is running Server 2019, and I've had it up and running a few hours here, or actually I've had it up and running 46 minutes here. But I want to come over here on the left side down to updates, and I want to show you how easy updates are to do. So it'll go out there and it sees all of the updates that are available, and then I can tell it go ahead and right down here and install updates. And I've told it to restart immediately if it's needed after downloading the updates, and you'll see it's starting the install update submitted. And then I will just keep an eye on this screen, and it should tell me hopefully when it's rebooting the server. But that's about how hard updates are to do. So now I don't need to physically lay hands on each machine. I can just push the updates out, restart the machines remotely even, and they'll be able to do their updates. Alright, so it looks like the updates are done. It didn't require a restart, but let's come here to update history. Let's see what that tells us. And you'll see that the updates were applied. They weren't mandatory. There was one that was critical, and that was, of course, for Adobe Flash. Tells me the date it installed them, the time, etc. I don't know why it's showing 11:26 at 3:59 p.m. That's interesting. It shows one was installed at noon on the 26th, and today is the 26th, and that time is not right. So let's come over to our main Dell Lab server, and I'm sure this one has some updates out there. I'm not going to do them because I don't want to restart the machine in the middle of a work day. Let's just go out there and see how long it takes it to find updates, because sometimes these web interfaces can be a little sluggish. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into the details on this thing I will save that for when I start doing my Windows Server 2019 series of videos, and I am going to do a lab from soup to nuts on that, show you how to set it up and show you some of the new features of Windows Server 2019. There's not a whole lot of difference between it and Windows Server 2016. Now you're probably wondering, Joe, why would you be wanting to go to Windows Server 2019? It just came out. Well, that's the point. My older licenses will expire. I have them, but they're going to want to force me, because I'm part of the partner network, to get on the latest and greatest software available in order to sell it. So I have to be on the bleeding edge in my production environment. Whereas you guys can run the older versions and be fine. I have to move forward in order to, keep my competencies and be able to sell this product to end users or to end businesses. So it looks like this Windows update is taking a little bit to run, so I'm not going to make you sit here and wait. Well, I'm going to end the demo video right there. It's kind of incomplete, but you get the gist of the interface. Now, I got to tell you, I've been using this interface all day today. I've been playing around with servers and moving stuff around between the 3 servers. The server behind me is now running Server 2019. The IBM is running Server 2019. The Dell in the rack is running Server 2016 and will for at least the rest of the year. And the plan is to set up some lab machines here and on the IBM and play around with them and do some videos on them. So you got that to look forward to. I just got to tell you, in just using the interface for the day, it's very speedy. It's an HTML5 interface. I misspoke. I was using it all day in Google and never had or Google Chrome and never had a problem. So you don't necessarily have to have Edge to use this software. It's very well written. It's very light on the server. It's just an app you install, and it's just, you set it and you kind of forget it, and there's no monitoring software that has to be installed on the other servers. It just uses through WMI and other means to get the information off of these servers, and it's one central location. It's very similar to vCenter, except you can do more with this. So moving forward, as this interface gets better, because it's not quite to that point yet, I can foresee just installing a bare bones server without a GUI on the machines, and then managing them all from this interface would be trivial. It's that good. So you really need to get your hands on it and install it if you've got a lab environment to see what I'm talking about. But I'll tell you this, vCenter, when I installed it, it made 10 virtual disks to install vCenter on, and it used about 12 gig of RAM when it was running. And that's version 6.7, and I'm not lying about that. I'm not making that up. That's what it took to run that program. This little app, it's a contained little app. You install it on a server, or I would imagine, I don't know if you can install on Windows 10. I would imagine you have to install it at least on a Windows server, but don't quote me on that. You just install it, it runs, it gets out of the way, it uses less than a gig of memory, and why would I go through the trouble of vCenter, vSphere, to get that same interface? You saw for yourself it was speedy. So there you go. Yeah, I know I'm kind of gushing about a Microsoft product after I just reamed them about Windows 10, and I stand behind that. But you can dislike something a company does as well as liking things that a company does. That's just being an adult. You can dislike people that way too. You can dislike one individual, what they do, but like something else they do. So, it's a balance. And I got to give Microsoft kudos. On their server end of things, they have got it going on. And that's why I keep running back to Microsoft products. One, I'm familiar with them, and two, they just work. I haven't had a Windows 10 crash in years, even though I don't like all the crap they put on Windows 10. I've never had a server crash on me, unless it was hardware related. But the operating system, no. I've got servers that have been up and running for years, and I don't have any problems with them. But They do take a lot of updates, but Microsoft does have a large attack surface, so that stands to reason. But all that aside, like I said, this interface is really a step in the right direction. And it also interacts with Azure. So if you have Azure, if you have part of your stuff out on the cloud in Azure, I should say, it interfaces with that. So, and part of my partner agreement is I get a monthly credit to Azure, so I could put some stuff on the cloud. I'm not going to, but I might do it in a demo. Who knows? Just to see what kind of interface it has with the Server Manager console. So there you go. Love it or hate it, but it's there. It's for you to use, Windows Admin Console, and I think it's a nice little piece of kit. So we hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a thumbs up down below. I love hearing your comments. Tell me what you think of this product. Tell me what you think of the interface and if you like it or not. Donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal, we take Patreon, and we take cold hard cash sent through the mail. No, don't do that. I'll never see it, neither will you. So never send cash through the mail, unless it's pennies. And then send as many of those as you want. But anyway, donate if you're so inclined. And don't forget, please, that we will see you on the other side.